Okay, good morning, all. Yesterday, we have seen certain accessing methods. Okay, methods we have seen yesterday that methods that can be used for MAC access or for a shared medium or accessing the shared medium. Okay, yesterday we have seen the disadvantage of having CSMACD. Then we have seen two classical methods, that is pure ALOA and slotted ALOA. Okay, so today we'll move further and we'll see, is there any solution for problems that we have seen in the CSMACD, that is hidden terminal problem and exposed terminal problem and near and far terminal problem. Okay, so we'll start with the particular method, that method is to avoid the collision and to improve the channel efficiency. Okay, so one more advanced technique was designed. Okay, so that was nothing but the DAMA. Okay, that is demand assign multiple access technique. Okay, that means whenever you need a channel for transmission, you have to demand it for from somewhere. Okay, so that is a demand assign multiple access technique. And from where you will be going to demand it, for that you will be having your administrator. It contains basically three techniques. Okay, the first one is explicit reservation. Okay, then second one is implicit reservation. So implicit reservation, and third one is reservation of TDME. Okay, three techniques are there. In explicit reservation, which is also called as a reservation aloha, if you see the name, it is written over here. It is also called as reservation aloha. So there are basically two phases in this. The first one is the contention phase, and second one is the reservation phase. Okay, so what happens in this particular case? Okay, so during contention phase, you cannot transmit your data. Okay, you have to reserve the time slots in which you will transmit the data. Okay, so in contention phase, all users will compete with each other to reserve the time slots, and no data transmission will take place, or no data transmission is possible. Okay, so contention phase, there will be a competition between users for reserving the time slot. Okay, and once this competition is over, that is contention phase is over, you can start reservation phase, or administrator can start the reservation phase, in which, depending on the result of this contention, each user is allocated some time slots for transmission of data. Okay, so collision is avoided during the data transmission because each user will have a reserved time slot. Okay, so two users will start transmitting at the same time. Each user will transmit only in its allocated time or allocated time slots. Okay, but collision can be possible in contention. Okay, suppose users are competing for reserving the time slot, and two users demands the same time slot or different time slot at the same time. Okay, so now suppose two users demand for the same time slot for reserving the future data transmission time slots, then definitely there will be a collision. Okay, and collision can be possible in that particular case. Okay, so one of the user will get the chance to transmit, other will denied of transmission. Okay, that is possible. So although collision is avoided during the transmission of the data, but collision can happen during the contention phase. Okay, so that is the particular problem, but it is still better than the pure or slotted aloha what we have seen yesterday. Okay, that is what the first method. Then second one is the implicit reservation. We'll see the implicit reservation, PRMA, packet reservation MA. Okay, this is called as a PRMA, packet reservation multiple access. Okay, now in this particular method, users do not compete with each other for reservation of a time slot. पहले जैसे हमने देखा, that is in explicit, they have to compete, but here user do not compete with each other for reservation of time slots. Okay, so this method also contains contention phase and reservation phase, but during contention phase, users do not compete with each other, rather base station assigns the reservations. Base station assigns the reservation. Okay, so base station during the contention phase will assign the reservation to all the users. Okay, suppose if number of users are less compared to the contention time slot, then remaining slot will be kept free. Okay, and during those free slot, same user can compete with each other for access to the time slots. Okay, again similar to the explicit reservation, during reservation phase each user can transmit its data according to the allotted time slot decided by the administrator, and collision is avoided. Okay, so again collision is possible in the contention phase, but up to very reduced extent, because number of free slots will be very less. Okay, मगर मतलब definitely there will be a competition, but if you have that we have seen in explicit, contention जो होगा, competition जो होगा, that will be after allocating slots, जो free slot बचेंगे उनके लिए. Okay, so that is what the second implicit reservation, but still there will be a possibility of this collision. Okay, then final, that is demand assignment multiple access, that is reservation TDMA. Okay, where again there will be contention phase and reservation phase. Okay, but there will be n milli slots, means like there are so many mini slots are maintained. Okay, and you can reserve x data slots. Okay, that means during n mini slots each user can occupy one mini slot, where each user will reserve number of data slots. Okay, so it's not limited that one user will get only one data slot for transmission. Okay, so this happens not only in the reducing collision, but also in increasing the channel efficiency. Okay, so all of these three sub methods of DMA basically can achieve channel efficiency up to at max 80%. Okay, itna channel efficiency they are giving, which is much more larger than the Aloha scheme. So these are different Miriam access methods, but all these methods are not providing the solution to our original problem, that is our hidden terminal and exposed terminal and near and far terminal problem. Okay, definitely this particular DAMA, that is first explicit implicit reservation TDMA, give you the better channel efficiency. 80% means out of 24 hours almost 80% hours. Okay, means 20 hours, up to 20 hours, definitely they will going to get involved in communication. Okay, okay, so apart, what we have seen are the DAMA are not flexible enough as a, they are definitely flexible as compared to the Aloha scheme. That means uh, but that can be used for fixed time slots. So let's say I have been allotted some, suppose 3 time slots. Okay, my transmission gets completed during 2 slots, so again one slot will remain free, and so that is not flexible to assign slot to any other user. That is one particular problem we have. The next problem is, what if there is no base station or no administrator is there, then who is going to decide the allocation of time slot, that we have seen in implicit second one. Okay, so likely we have certain problems, so we have only one answer to that, that how to improve the medium access protocol and how to use it basically in wireless medium. Okay, so every medium access method that we have seen, which is described for fixed network, basically has certain drawbacks, and does not solve our problem of wireless communication. Okay, so like hidden terminal problem, then exposed terminal problem, near and far terminal problem. Okay, so there is we will see is there any solution for that or not. So if there is a certain small simple solution we have, which is a part of our syllabus and provided to all this problem, is known as, that we will see, that is a new method, and it is called as multiple access with collision avoidance. Okay, multiple access with collision avoidance. Okay, that is abbreviated as MACA, that is MACA protocol. Okay, now it is very simple solution. Basically, there are several advantages happened in this particular method, but we will just get introduced to that particular MACA protocol, or multiple access with collision avoidance protocol. Okay, so what basically this MACA does is that it uses short signaling packets. It uses short signaling packets for avoiding collision during the transmission of data. What it does, it uses short signaling packets for avoiding collision during transmission of data. Okay, so rather than contention phase, there will be a signaling packet utilized for accessing the medium. Okay, that means no contention phase will be there. Okay, so whenever you have a data to transmit, first we have to send this signaling packet to avoid the collision, and during the transmission of data there is a very minimum possibility that collision will occur. Okay, so which are those, or which are these signaling packets? So there are basically two signaling packets we use. One is RTS and second one is CTS. RTS is request to send. Okay, that is a request to send, and other is CTS, which is clear to send. Okay, now RTS packet is sent by transmitter for requesting the right to send from a receiver. Okay, RTS packet is sent by a transmitter for requesting the right to send from a receiver. Okay, that means if there is a transmitter, suppose TX is a transmitter and RX is a receiver. Now transmitter wants to transmit. Okay, now transmitter want to send the data to the receiver. Okay, so it will not directly start sending the data. First it will transmit the RTS packet, and it will request receiver whether it can send the data or not. Means it will take the permission from receiver. If receiver is free and ready to accept any data transmission, then it will reply with the another signaling packet, and that is nothing but the CTS. Okay, so RTS and CTS is likely a handshaking process which is performed before transmission of actual data. So what are the contents of this signaling package, that is of RTS and CTS? Okay, so RTS and CTS basically contain simple information like who is sender, that means a sender address, then what is the receiver address, and what is the size of packet. Okay, so that is what that it wants to transmit. Okay, so receiver address is included because this RTS is a broadcast packet, that you understand. This RTS is a broadcast packet. Okay, and it will be broadcasted to all the station within the network. Okay, so how a receiver identifies his own address and respond with the CTS through this particular information. Okay, so this method solves the hidden and exposed terminal problem. Okay, now let us see first hidden and terminal problem कैसे solve हो रहा है. Okay, so how MACA avoids, that is MACA avoids the problem of hidden terminal. Now suppose we can consider this particular scenario. I am talking about the first scenario. Okay, that is the first diagram where there are three stations: station A, station B, and station C. Okay, now A and C both wants to send the data to B. A and C both wants to send the data to B. Okay. Now, similar to the problem that we have seen in the explanation of hidden terminal problem. Now, in this case, when we are implementing Maka protocol, okay, so just see here, they both will now start transmitting the data simultaneously. Okay, rather than that, what they will do now, first A will send the RTS to B. Okay, first A will send the RTS to B. Now, if B is free, it will send a CTS to A. If B is free, it will send a CTS to A. Now, although A is sending RTS, which is a broadcast packet, okay, since C is out of coverage of area of A, definitely C will not going to receive the RTS packet because it is out of coverage area of A. Okay, so it will not going to get the RTS packet. So C will receive only the CTS packet. CTS packet कौन भेज रहा है? Which is responded by the B. Okay. Now CTS is also a broadcast packet. Okay. So now once C receives this CTS packet, okay, it get to know that B is busy in the communication. It will get to know that B will be busy in, because B इसमें क्या information भेजेगा CTS में, that source का address जहां से उसको clear to send मिलना है, so that particular C will going to understand that C will be now engaging in communication. So C defers the transmission of RTS to B. Okay, that is one particular scenario. Here you can see definitely collision will not occur at B and hidden terminal problem will get solved. Okay, so another scenario, when A and C both send RTS at the same time. Suppose A and C both send the RTS at the same time. Now it is up to B. Suppose दोनों ने भेज दिया RTS, A भी भेज रहा है RTS, even C is also sending the RTS at the same time. Now it is completely up to B to respond with the terminal that either A or C can transmit the data that is mentioned in this particular CTS. So A will decide. Now B will decide कि किसके साथ communication. If B says that CTS is made for C, then A has to wait. If B said that CTS is made for A, then C has to wait. Okay, so let us assume that A and C both are sending RTS at the same time. Now B decides that A can transmit the data. Okay, so in the CTS it will mention sender's address, that is the address of A. Now same CTS is received by C, and C sees that sender address is mentioned, which is not of C but it is of A, so C will not transmit. Okay, so this is how it avoids the hidden terminal problem. Okay, and in turns definitely it will avoid the collision at B. Okay, so this is a hidden terminal problem, it gets solved. So what about the exposed terminal problem? Okay, so where there is a, we know that in exposed terminal we have one more terminal over here. D उसको हम नाम देते. Okay, now in the exposed terminal we saw that B wants to send the data to A and C wants to send the data to D, लेकिन उन दोनों का हो नहीं रहा था communication. Okay, so now since we are using RTS and CTS, C does not have to wait for permission from B for transmission to D, because when B wants to send the data to A, okay, B broadcast RTS packet. Okay, B RTS पैकेट ब्रॉडकास्ट करेगा, दो RTS पैकेट C को भी जाएगा, वो RTS पैकेट A को भी जाएगा. That RTS packet will have the information that with whom that B wants to talk to or B wants to communicate to. तो उसमें एड्रेस लिखा है A का, तो डेफिनेटली C के साथ कम्युनिकेशन नहीं होना है. That means C will be free in that time. Okay, so you can see RTS is given to A here, and RTS is also given to C, but in this RTS packet the receiver address is of address of A. Okay, so C does not respond to B. because address is of A. Now when C has to transmit the data to D, it checks whether the D is free or not. It doesn't bother about B because B उसको पता है B उसके साथ communication नहीं कर रहा है, B is communicating with A. Okay, so it will check whether that D is free or not because communication between B and A is going on and D is free now. So C sends the RTS to D. Okay, C RTS D को send करेगा. Okay, so it does not respond to, and RTS will be given to B also. Sorry, RTS will be given to D. So definitely that RTS will be broadcasted packet. So B को भी वो receive होगा. Now B will realize that the address mentioned in the RTS is not of its own. It is of D. So it does not respond to that particular C का packet. Okay. So B और A का communication चलता रहेगा. Okay. And C and D का communication is also possible. Okay, so A respond to B via CTS and D respond to C via CTS. Okay, now C and B both realizes that this communication is possible, so they can proceed further with the data transmission. So again, there is no chance of exposed terminal because both C and B can transmit at the same time. Okay, so because of their receivers are different, B का receiver A है, C का receiver D है, though their receivers are different, so the exposed terminal का problem भी solve हो जाता है because of this. So this is just a simple scheme which is used by MACA, that is multiple access with collision avoidance, for avoiding the hidden and exposed terminal problem. Okay, the same scheme can be used for avoiding near and far terminal. Okay, यहाँ पे भी हम इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं इसको, where each terminal can be used RTS and CTS, so that power control is not mandatory in that case. In case of near and far problem, we can use it. Okay, the one problem that is observed in MACA, that is MACA, that is overhead associated with the RTS and CTS transmission. Okay, so in usual access methods में क्या होता है, we are transmitting only data. So suppose if we have a 90 packets to transmit, अपने पास 90 packets है and only 90 packets will be transmitted through the medium. लेकिन if we are using MACA, so in the case of RTS and CTS, 2 additional packets will be involved in the communication. Okay, so those will be RTS and CTS packet. Okay, so that is called as a, that means we required total 92 packets to send now instead of 90 packets, so 2 packets will get increased. Okay, so number of packets are more, but that will be the overhead. Why? Because this is the additional packet is considered very less here. But suppose if you want to transmit only 1 packet to the receiver, and for that sending only 1 data packet to the receiver, you are transmitting 2 control packets to the receiver. Okay, and that is not desirable. Okay, so for short and time critical data packets, this is not negligible. Okay, so time critical means what? Or time critical, why I'm saying like that? Because handshaking process requires a certain time to conclude, and if you are transmitting videos which is a time critical data, then this overhead is not negligible. Okay, and you can observe delays in the video reception. Okay, so MACA also assumes that there is a symmetrical transmission and reception conditions are there. So that means whatever condition the transmitter are using, same atmospheric and infrastructural conditions available at the receiver. So here in this, congestion control may be observed, but flow control may not be obtained using MACA. Okay, so this is about the MACA. Now we'll see the state diagram for sender and receiver of MACA. Now as you can see, sender initially is in the ideal state. Okay, when it has the data to transmit, it sends the RTS packet. Okay, and enters into the wait state. Okay, and wait for what? Wait for CTS. Okay, it is the second step. Once receiver, which is originally in the ideal state, okay, so that is the first step for that. Once it receives the RTS, if it is free, it will respond with the CTS packet. Okay, and wait for data. So it goes into the second step. Okay, that is wait of the data. Okay, so CTS is broadcasted. Now that CTS will be received by the sender, so it enters into the third state. Okay, where after receiving the CTS, it transmit the data and stays into the wait state. Okay, why wait state? Because after sending the data, it will wait for the acknowledgement from the receiver, and whether data is received or not. Okay, so now once receiver receives the data, it sends the acknowledgement, okay, or negative acknowledgement, whatever it is. So whether if data is not received within the specified time, it will send a negative acknowledgement. Okay, so it goes into the ideal state again. Okay, so once acknowledgement is received, again sender goes into or goes back into the ideal state. If it receives negative acknowledgement, it goes back into the second stage. That is, the sender goes back into the second stage, uh, and retransmission and retransmission will take place. Okay, so this is how the MACA works. Okay, so it is very simple solution. So it avoids the collisions and it avoids the contention also. It avoids the use of central administrator. So additional infrastructure is required only for implementation. This only small drawback is that additional packet overhead will be there in the case of small data transmission, and there might be problem when we have a time critical data. Okay, but that is what the MACA protocol. There are several other protocols are also there, but that is not a part of our study, means your syllabus. So we are not going to see that, but definitely there are certain other protocols are given for wireless network for MAC purpose. Okay, so but there is only one protocol we have for study, that is a MACA protocol, that is MACA protocol. Okay, so we'll move further and we'll start with the network layer now. Okay, so which is implemented in the mobile communication system. Okay, so we know the most popular protocol of the network layer is internet protocol, that is IP, वो हमें पता है. Okay, now in this particular video or in this particular lecture, we will see the introduction to the mobile IP. Introduction to the, now this concept is very much important as far as your syllabus is concerned, and UT is also concerned, because this particular, you will see number of questions will be asked on this particular topic. Okay, so that is very important topic as far as exam is concerned. Okay, now that is IP, which is used in the mobile communication system. We are talking about the IP which is used in the mobile communication system. So as you can see, the name is different here. That means there must be something different from the standard IP we are going to see now. So what is the motivation behind developing this new mobile IP? Okay, so that we'll see. So now we all know the primary task of the network layer is the assigning addresses to each and every node within the network and routing the packets to every node within the network. Okay, so first thing is that routing is important. Now, how routing is done? So routing is done based on the destination address, that is IP address of the destination node, or the network prefix, which is address of the particular subnet, then physical subnet, which is where that node is residing. Okay, so if you want to transmit or if you want to send a packet to a particular user, you will mention its IP address in your IP datagram, and router will forward that packet. Okay, based on the IP address or the network prefix of that particular IP address within that particular network. Okay, so what is the issue of routing? in the case of mobile communication system, now we know that whenever we change the subnet, for that, we need to recall the concept of computer networks. So whenever we change the subnet, our IP address will also change. Okay. So for example, for example, let's say there are two locations. This is the one location. There are two locations we are considering. Okay, covered by two different networks. Okay. Now one network. Suppose I'm talking about this network A. This is network B. Okay. So this particular network, suppose I'm talking about a network, let's say it has a IP as 192.13.42. That is, this is the subnet prefix of this particular network. Okay, that means whatever node present inside this network, its IP will be 192.13.42 dot either 1 से लेके either one or from 1 towards 254 कुछ भी हो सकता है. Okay, so because 255 is the broadcast address. Okay, so 1 to 54 will be 1 to 254 will be addresses of the different nodes within this particular network. Okay, so whenever you change the location, suppose whenever you change the location, or whenever a node moves from one subnet to another subnet, obviously a new subnet will have the different IP address. Okay, so that is, let's say ये रहेगा 129.13.43. Okay, so whenever you change the subnet, your IP addresses will also be changed. Okay, and that means the routing or routing packets or to different or to this particular subnet will also get changed, because routing is based on the IP addresses or the network prefix of the physical subnet. Okay, so routing changes means what happens here. Now the path towards the destination is now changed. Okay, the path towards the destination is changed, and because of the path is changed, the routing table entries which are maintained at the router will also get changed. Okay, so every subnet has a router associated with it. So this router maintains routes towards a particular destination. Now suppose if routes are changed, these routing table entries will also get changed. Okay, so this concept applies to a fixed network. Okay, so also if you move, suppose if you move a computer or a desktop computer from one laboratory to another laboratory, so definitely its IP address will change. Okay, so what is the difference between this concept and the concept that we required for mobile communication? So you might have studied that in fixed network this situation is occurring very rarely. Okay, we rarely move one physical set of computer or desktop to, or from one physical subnet to another physical subnet, we rarely shift. Okay, but in mobile networks or in mobile communication system, this situation occurs very frequently. Okay, so most of the users are mobile in nature, so they will frequently change their location from one cell to another cell. Okay, so every time they are changing the cell, their IP addresses will also get changed, and corresponding routing table entries will have also be will have also to be changed in that case. Okay, so what are the quick solution for this particular problem? Okay, so now changing all the routing tables or changing all the routing table entries, that forward packets might be the right decision, but router has a responsibility of maintaining these changes in the routing table entries as quickly as possible. Okay, that means they should be as live as possible. Okay, so whenever changes occur, router should immediately change those entries too. Okay, but when the users are too many, that means suppose mobile users are too many, so there will be too many routing table entries updates will be there. So let's say for subnet has 100 users, and out of those 100 users, 80 are mobile users. Okay, then changing the routes or changing the routing table entries for those 80 users very quickly, that might not be the possible for router. Okay, and that too many times within the given period of time, router, it is very difficult for router to do that, because mobile users changes their location too many times and frequently basis. Okay, and that's why it may not be possible for router to change the routing table entries quickly. Okay, but that can be quick solution for this routing program in the mobile system. Then what is the other quick solution? Does we have any other quick solution? So it is quite obvious, whenever we change the network, our IP address has to be changed. So changing the IP address which solve our problem. So in the mobile communication system, adjusting the host IP address depending on the current location will be the quick solution. Okay, so that is from one subnet. If you are moving to the other subnet, change the IP address. But how will the sender know that receiver has changed its IP address? Suppose there is a sender A, and who is trying to send a packet to B. Okay, now B has moved from one subnet to another subnet. Now how will sender know that its IP address is changed? Okay, so that is the question. Okay, and that is almost impossible to solve. Okay, so one solution here is possible, and that might be, or that may be, use of DNS. Okay, so all of us know what is DNS is. That is domain name system, where a name is mapped to the IP address. Suppose, for example, abcd.com is a name given to a certain IP address. For example, 129. The same address we will take, 129.13.42.10. Okay, an IP address is associated with the particular name. So that sender does not have to worry about the IP address of the particular abcd.com. So it can use abcd.com as a destination address, but changing the subnet means changing this binding of name of the IP addresses. Okay, that is your DNS update is required. Okay, so because when you change the subnet, definitely this IP address will going to change. Okay, that means whatever IP address which was mapped to that particular abcd.com, that will have to be also changed. So these DNS updates take too long time to update this. Okay, so that is not also a feasible solution where DNS use will solve our problem of changing the IP addresses frequently. Then apart from that, if you go to the upper layers, suppose for example, we know that what are the layers, what layers are there in the OSI. The physical layer is there, data link layer, the network, transport, session, presentation, and then application layer will be there. Okay, so we are talking about the network layer right now. So now network layer assigns the IP packets or IP addresses. Okay, now above network layer there is a transport layer which is responsible for reliable delivery of the packet. Okay, or unreliable also sometimes in the case of UDC, so in the case of UDP. But if we talk about the TCP, reliable delivery of the packet to the destination is necessary. Now TCP uses IP address plus port address for reliable delivery. Now port address is related to the specific device. Okay, so this IP address plus port address is known as a socket. So source address and the source socket and the destination socket, that is a socket pair. So source socket will remain constant because its IP is not changing, but the destination socket is changed because of changing in the IP address. So if the IP address change, socket will also change. So in destination socket, if suppose in destination socket is changing, then it is breaking the TCP semantics. Okay, so TCP semantics are broken in the case of changing of the IP addresses, because that completely changes the socket. Okay, and that forces the security problem at the transport layer. Okay, because you have to confirm whether the change socket is valid one and it is not an attacker, and then only further communication is possible. So there are so many other issues which are related to the transport layer security also. Okay, so because of this change, the changing in the IP addresses, is not also feasible solution for mobile communication system. So in case of routing the packets, okay, so we can conclude that although IP is very simple mechanism, implementing the IP at the network layer to deliver the packet to appropriate node, it is bit simple in the case of fixed network. So it may not be feasible to implement it in a mobile communication system or wireless system because of the obvious reason, that is the mobility of the user. Okay, and the mechanism that IP is implementing is designed by keeping fixed network in mind. Okay, so all these IP or the internet protocol is designed considering only the fixed network at that time. So mobility was never a discussion at that time during the development of the internet protocol. Okay, so what is the solution for this? Okay, so solution, we have to design a new IP or switch will be called as a mobile IP, and which will support the mobility for that, and it will allow any user to send the packet to any user.